Today I want to put forth a concept that I think might help move us towards a solution for homelessness. Basically, each state would pay each homeless person $10. They're paying this homeless person $10 to stay out of their state. If you just base this off of, let's say, 50 states, okay, it would mean that each state would pay $60 million a year to fund every homeless person in the United States. Now, what this would do would be a flat incentive from states that just say, we don't want you to be homeless in our state. Okay. There could be additional incentive programs, like Hawaii will fly people out of Hawaii, homeless people, to try to incentivize them moving to other states. So obviously, each state will have its own twist on this program, but the basic baseline that every state would have to, and even territories would have to agree to, is the funding of each homeless person for $10 a month. That would give each homeless person an income of $500 a month guaranteed. Now, this program would also be dependent upon some form of cheaply constructed or cheap to construct mobile housing. Okay, so let's say there are small shipping containers that are, let's say, 6 foot wide by 10 foot long or something like that. And each state would build these or purchase these. And this is just an example, okay? But a very rudimentary structure that is not going to fall apart or is, it's hurricane proof, tornado proof, and all the environmental problems that will face us now and in the future, okay? So indestructible, let's say, steel houses, tiny homes. And they would be movable by forklift. And I have other designs that I've thought of, but this is just off the cuff, okay? So each state would have a number of these mobile homes that they can move around the city. And you probably wouldn't want to put them in super touristy areas because you're trying to draw the tourist money in. But you don't have to have them far off of, let's say, a downtown area in which there isn't a lot of storefront. It's mostly either mixed use, homes, whatever. And so if the state pays this homeless person $10 to stay out, what does that mean if this person moves into their state? First of all, it means that they won't be paying the $10, and also that this person will have a guaranteed rental expenditure of $500 to this state. So it's a guaranteed state income of $500 a month, and it's guaranteed not by a job, but by other states. So some states will want this extra income. Those states will fabricate nicer looking tiny homes, or bigger tiny homes, or however you want to, look at their incentives. Just like the people trying to keep people out, certain states and even towns will say, we want these people. Think of a small town in the Rust Belt or some other place that you see them on YouTube. This town is falling apart. It doesn't have to fall apart. It can get the $500 a month from this program and get these mobile buildings from the state, right? So even a small town could just call the state and say, hey, we need 6 of these mobile, homeless shelters. and they get delivered by the state to wherever needs them. Okay. Now, the main motivation behind this program would be helping people that want help. Okay, I know that homelessness is a huge controversial issue. It is a epidemic, and even if the numbers of homeless people, like let's say it's 500,000 people, I think the number was, even if that number includes, let's say, 50% of people that don't want help, or they are drug addicts, let's say, or have mental health issues, there is still a large amount of people that need shelter. Okay, they need a safe place that they can lock up at night, that is a specific square footage, that doesn't, isn't a tent overflowing into a street. Okay, so this would provide a neat and tidy solution to municipalities and states to either incentivize people to stay away within this program, or to attract them to get the $500 a month guaranteed income. Okay, so in a sense, this would be a basic universal income for homeless people, but it would only be applicable towards housing, wherever they wanted to live. And you could custom make these structures to withstand whatever environment the homeless person was living in. I mean, if we can build structures in Antarctica and hotels in the Sahara Desert, in all these extreme places, we can do it. We can't pretend that these displaced people don't need the same things that we need. They need access to food, water, shelter, shopping, I mean, it's just a fact of life. If you move them too far away from civilization, now they have to travel too far to get the resources they need. Okay? If you put them too close to high tourist areas, then you have a reduction in tourism, and you have, crimes of opportunity and things like this. There has to be a middle ground, and there has to be programs in place for people that desperately need this help and should not have to rely upon getting a job to get this help. I think I've talked about in other videos where, if someone is completely screwed, society will try to help them, okay, like a homeless shelter. But as soon as they get a little of anything, society basically says to them, now move on up the ladder, man. Come on, you can do it. Just keep going, and if you fail, it's you. It's all you, and you got bootstrapped from this shitty homeless shelter that we put you in, and now it's all you, kid. That's not reality. That's not even reality for people that have jobs and money. Because if you look at people that have security, a lot of them are not doing anything with it. Okay? You're not creating a, society of comfortable Leonardo da Vinci's. You're taking humans and saying, this is what you need to survive in this neighborhood in which you live at this dollar amount, and this is the job you need. And they do these things so they can survive and have comfort. Okay? Yes, some people, once they have, the hierarchy of needs worked out to a certain level, are going to move on to, arts, crafts, creating, writing, painting, social causes, volunteering. Sure. But the majority of people are grinding out a living, trying to survive, trying to have a little bit of happiness for themselves. Okay? If you went to those same people and said, now that you've succeeded, the only way is up. You must keep going. And if you don't, there will be penalties. You would have, riots in the streets. But this is what we're saying to these people that have almost no resources at all. We're saying, when you get a little bit, you're expected to get the rest. If you don't, you will get kicked out into the street again, and your shit will be thrown in the dump, and, yada yada, right? Street sweeps and stuff like this. This is not an efficient way to try to get people to move up in the world. And I understand the sprawl of these homeless camps. I've seen it, in videos and stuff. Okay. That is obviously not something that we can have in city centers and have the people grinding out a living there feel safe. Obviously, it's not working. Okay. But neither is making these people feel like they have to, be a middle-class American in a couple years. For some of them, they will never do it. For some of them, they could do it with enough support, but these things take time. And a lot of times it takes luck and perseverance and a bunch of other stuff. So all I'm saying is that right now we could create this program. Okay, it would cost $60 million a year per state. If you look at these state budgets are in billions of dollars. And a lot of states spend probably a lot more than $60 million just combating this problem as it is. So all I'm saying is there would be a fixed fee of $60 million per state. They could try to have additional incentives to keep people out if that was their jam. They're like, we don't want any homeless people here. They could do it, right? And make the incentive so good that if the homeless people stay out, you would need a card or something. You would need like a debit style card that would, and blockchain and all of this, so the system couldn't be gamed. But then the homeless person would have this card or ID or something where wherever they went, they were tracked by the use of this card, right? It logged them. And that's how you would make sure that, and then they would get their mail and stuff like that. So there'd be ways to keep track of these people. It's not like, they're going to scam you from multiple states, okay? The point is, the states that didn't want homelessness could pretty much prevent it. And the states that wanted additional income, in the small towns, could petition for it, right? Some small town wants to grow. This is all about scaling, okay? And I'm not saying that this will stop all the issues with homelessness. There's many, many issues. There's the drug use, there's mental illness, like I said before. This isn't addressing all the issues. This is just addressing the issues of like homeless camps with shit strewn everywhere and, hypodermic needles and walking paths and sideways that are clogged up. Okay? If we can solve that type of problem, it will ease the tension of this issue, I think a great deal, and it would also increase the soft power of a city like Seattle, right? Because if you watch these videos of Seattle or California, there's like these huge homeless encampments, and there's crap everywhere, and some of them are run by, organized crime, stuff like that. So this would combat a lot of these issues, and I would welcome any comments in the comments section, any ideas about how to make this plan better. Because it was just something that I came up with a couple weeks ago. I was just so frustrated with this whole issue and the many, failed solutions. There are pockets of solutions, but the thing is they're not universal. They're not universally supported by each state. It's kind of like it's very much like the marijuana legalization, okay? I just read a thing that said, that big polling company, I forget what it's called, but 90% of the American public thinks that they should legalize marijuana. 90%. The fact that the states are so different about this and then you can't cross borders, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And it's the same thing with homeless. Each state has their own solution. Many of them suck. Many of them are mocked by other states. You know, people look at California and Oregon and are like, man, they're really messing it up over there. It's like an apocalypse. Well, yeah, there's no unified vision of how to solve this. So I'm just saying, anyone that listens to this that's interested in this problem, please comment, give me some feedback, just be nice, and I won't erase your comments. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.